Okay. All right, Sarah. Here's the official stuff.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks again for doing this with us. It was really
My
fun.
pleasure.
Oh, good. That's good. So, we've got just some open-ended questions, and you can talk as much or as little as you want,
Yeah.
of course. So, the first one is, what do you think worked well with the project?
What did I think went well? I think that having Coach's Eye in the room brought to the forefront the need for students to kind of self-evaluate regularly, because I think although I always try and get opportunities for students to watch themselves, and it is very easy in this day and age to watch yourself back.
Yeah.
So that is something we do normally, but I think there's something about perhaps formalising it a little bit more and kind of building it into the sessions in a more kind of forceful way. I think they ended up seeing themselves more and in more detail. I think the ability to be able to watch it in slow motion was probably one of the better things as part of the programme. And yeah, I was thinking about, obviously the use of the graphics. You can kind of draw the line to say, this is what I'm looking for. It's kind of fun, but in a sense, the body is a lot more complex than lines. So I think they quite enjoyed it, and actually it sort of made perfecting something a bit more fun for them.
Okay.
Perhaps there was some kind of, it almost felt like a game, being able to kind of rewind and slow forward and let's draw on you.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
So I think that in that sense, it's just something a bit different. It's just a different way to watch yourself back and self-evaluate.
Yeah, yeah.
And, they did get involved. They did. But again, I would say normally they would get involved. If we recorded them and then we watched them back, they would offer comments.
Right.
But
so
yeah, again, the ability to break it down, it allowed the space, the time for people to come in with a comment.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of my observations too. Actually, I thought it was pretty cool because, when you drew those simple lines, it's still...
it's an
they
impression.
Reacted, didn't they? Yeah.
They did react. And actually, yeah, you're right. It gives the impression you want to give. So maybe the body is more complex, but at the end of the day, these are the lines I'm trying to achieve here.
Yeah.
But say, for example, there was one moment where we were looking at particularly the line of the ankle to get up higher on the arch. It's all very well saying to someone, you're not very high on your arch. But we all know that it takes lots of rises and plies and strengthening of the ankle to actually change that. So telling someone that's not quite there, sometimes that's just the starting point.
Yeah.
Actually, you'd need a kind of training program to get the whole leg and ankle to be stronger, to build flexibility into the arch of the foot, all of those things. So,
did you think? Like, I remember one time you were pointing that out, that exact same thing to somebody, and you just grabbed a circle and circled it.
Yeah.
Did you feel like that was really helpful, or I remember I have memories of the reaction to that. I'm just wondering what your reaction to that is.
I don't know what the circle itself, if that was really helpful.
Yeah,
just
kind
of pinpoint.
Popping that on there.
Yeah, again, I think it was a bit of a different way to learn, and I think it was more visual.
Yeah.
And I think it helped to direct the focus for everyone.
Yeah.
And it's funny because you think, oh, it's pretty simple, circling it. But then perhaps it did have a real impact from me just talking about the ankle area,
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's something about that visualization that you pop that circle there and it's like, oh, yeah, that. That's going to stick in your head, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. If you think of something else that you thought worked well, just bring it back up again. What about challenges? What was challenging?
Obviously, with that kind of technology, you want it at the click of your finger, and bringing them over, and then just even 2-3 minutes of faffing or it not working was a shame.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be nice if it was just really smooth.
Yeah.
I guess if I think about the way I try and run my sessions and the way I work with practical work, I plan my warm-up so there's no break.
No, yeah.
It just goes through because it's so important to keep the energy up.
Right.
So, the challenges were the technical side, making that smoother. I think apart from that, it was, when it worked, it really worked.
Yeah.
And it was, quite instant. What was great about it, again, going back to what was good about it, is that instant feedback. You kind of close the loop that normally stays open for a lot longer. And it's quite hard when you think, right, I know I need to give that feedback to that person, but you don't always get around to it because there's so much else going on, which again, I come back to that thing of bringing the moment for feedback to the forefront of the session through the use of that program.
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know what the students will say, but to me, I'll say again about the challenges of you correct someone, some things you can correct straight away. So if the arm's supposed to go like this and they're up here, you can do that pretty easily. But then there's other things that they're not right because that person needs loads more work just generally on their dance ability, their technique.
Yeah.
That's going to happen through a year of technique classes, not through drawings on a program and saying,
no, right.
You're not down in your plie, you haven't got turnout. Well, if they haven't, they haven't. They can't suddenly magic these important muscle groups. So, the challenges are that actually the way of working with Coach's Eye is from the outside looking in.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, a lot of the time in dance, it's about how if it feels right, or if you can use imagery to make something make sense in your body.
Yeah.
And of course, you're missing all of that with Coach's Eye.
Yeah, there's no way of recording that, is there, in anything?
No.
But I think sometimes, it's the same thing with music. So, for instance, I grew up loving Dixieland music, and I'd listened to records. But the first time I heard it live, it was like, just the energy, you can't capture that.
Exactly.
You just can't capture that. I remember getting off a bus in New Orleans and just feeling electricity.
Yeah.
You can't. They could have filmed me getting off that bus, and they would not have felt the electricity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Is there anything that you think you'd like to try with the technology that we didn't get to try to do? I know before
we talked about aligning recordings from them against exemplary work, whether I could be that person, or they could take footage from online from the piece itself and watch the professionals do it.
Yeah.
So there's sections of the work online. If they could have put themselves alongside, that could have been a good thing. I felt that we didn't perhaps pass it over to them. There wasn't really time to then pass it over to them, or they were so busy with the work itself.
Yeah.
That this was a kind of an add-on.
Yeah.
So that meant that they weren't thinking creatively about it. The conversation they're having right now, they may well be coming up with ideas.
Yeah. They didn't come up with anything about the technology at all, did they?
I guess for me, the way I'd try to also push it is, what can we do creatively with it? Because at the moment it is a coaching tool.
Yeah.
It's let's try and perfect this routine.
Right.
Let's get the body position exactly right. let's get the timing right. Oh, you're out of time.
Yeah.
So that's okay. That's good for that. But is there
Something more
something else we can do with it? I don't know.
I don't either.
No.
Something to consider. Last one. Oh, sorry. Do you think that, well, part of this question is obvious, but do you think that you adapted your delivery or changed your delivery as a result of using technology? I guess maybe, I mean, it's obvious that, yes, I interrupted my class to do this where in the past I wouldn't have. But so I guess maybe projecting in the future, is it something you think you can adapt in, and especially if we can make it easier?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it would be nice to sit down and kind of properly evaluate it. Maybe think about the moments that really, really worked. Plan it into sessions a little bit more. Think a bit more about, things like who's recording who, and yeah.
Yeah, because how would it work without a student fellow or without me there to,
Yeah, it would be difficult. It'd be difficult.
Yeah.
To manage that. Yeah, on top of everything. Yeah, at times it did feel like it was great to have, but then it slightly disrupted the flow as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they felt. They might not feel that at all. That might just be my perception.
Well, it could be because for them, I mean, you know how your classes go.
Yeah.
They're still learning how you do your classes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because they're first years. But,
Yeah.
so they might not have gotten that.
I think it's really nice when things started layering. So you'd have one group at the television looking, feeding back, another group in the space. Whereas if I think about what that would have normally been, it would have been two groups trying to share space for all that time, and they may have potentially lost focus. Where's this focus them in?
Mm-hmm.
I think there was one session where I just sort of made a decision that they should choose a very short section to film rather than just film the whole thing.
Yeah.
And we did that, and we had a look at it. And it's that thing of, okay, now apply what we've just done to everything else. But I think that also made them identify which bit was ready to be critiqued.
Mm.
So they're in a sense, they were evaluating which is the best rehearsed bit, which is the bit that we think is ready.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that was working quite well.
Yeah. I hadn't really thought about that, but it forced them to engage with what they've done and, like you say, self-evaluate and go, okay, let's rank these parts.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I hadn't really thought about that. Anything else you want to add?
I guess, I've just watched them in the final assessment. Essentially, the people who started at the top, who've got the most experience, who were always getting the repertoire great from the beginning, worked really hard. They've all worked hard, but they're still up there.
Yeah.
You've got the people who are less experienced, who really struggle with the repertoire, who haven't done loads of dance, who are still, where they would be. So, yeah, it's so hard to tell unless it was a controlled thing.
No, right.
It's so hard to tell what the impact is, because I did the project last year, and a similar result.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't see how it couldn't have helped.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they have to say and just see what their perceptions are. Because if it's positive, then it helped,
Yeah.
whether it did or didn't.
Yeah.
The
There's
reality.
I just got one observation from one of the sessions that I came in on, because obviously I wasn't there for all of them. But there was a session where they brought the iPad up, you were going through and you were kind of critiquing it.
Yeah.
What was interesting was that group then took that away, and I just saw this group in the corner sat there with it, and they were passing it round, and they were totally focused on that, and they were looking at it, going back and forth. And then I saw them starting to do things. So somebody was doing the arm movement, and somebody said, no, and they were going back to it. So it was a sense of ownership, which is something that I've observed before, and it'd be interesting to see if the students come out with this, that they're taking ownership of that piece of learning. It's like, we've done that, we've shown it, we've had it critiqued, now we're taking it away, and we're going to work on it. And
you see, I'm really glad you witnessed that, because of course I missed it.
Yeah, I did too.
Because I was so busy with the session. And that's the thing.
Yeah,
Unless
because
you
you'd
can
moved
step
on.
away.
You'd moved on to the next session, so you'd got the next group with their
I would have
iPad,
been focusing on that.
and you were focusing
Which
on
is
that.
and I wish I'd seen that. You know, I'm glad you shared that with me, because I missed it.
No, they just went off into the corner and they were just.
Well, there we go.
That's cool.
That does sound good.
Yeah. All right. Do you have anything else you want to add, Neil?
No.
Yeah.
Of course. Thank you.
It's been great. You know, as far as I'm concerned, it's been a successful first try at implementing this software, and it's so cool. I've been trying to get people to use it for 5 years now, so 6 years. So it's cool that it worked, and I'm anxious for us to be able to share it with others. So,
Okay.
yeah, well, yeah, you can shut that off.
Okay.
So we'll have